The disabled tyrant's beloved pet fish. Transmigration. Chapter 36. Jing Wang wasn't really clear himself why he would have such feelings towards Xiaoyu. Honestly speaking, he only encountered the young human form of Xiaoyu a few times. At first he was only a little curious about this youth who was capable of escaping his grasp time and time again. However, he wasn't so deeply concerned. It was after this youth saved him and he learned that the other was actually Xiaoyu who accompanied him day in and day out that he couldn't help but care about this youth. Because no matter if he's fish or human, he was still the one that Jing Wang was willing to care for sincerely. Jing Wang concealed himself and peered at Xiaoyu in secret. Gradually, he discovered plenty of Xiaoyu's secrets. Xiaoyu loved to eat. Jing Wang realized this since the peach blossom cookies. In the last few days, he used plenty of good food to tease the fish and watched as Xiaoyu sneakily transformed just for a bite of food. However, the other would only change form once a day. No matter how much time he gave Xiaoyu, Xiaoyu would only change form for about 2 hours before turning back to his fish form. After changing back, no matter how good the food was, he wouldn't transform again. Xiaoyu himself also looked quite reluctant. Therefore, Jing Wang deduced that it wasn't that the fish didn't want to transform but that he couldn't do it. Because of this, Jing Wang predicted that it was very likely, this fish could only change shape once a day and only for 2 hours at a time. After obtaining this conclusion, Jing Wang became gloomy. The carpio transformed for a bite to eat yet refused to come see him in person. Jing Wang recalled the scene when he saw Xiaoyu's human form the first time. It seemed that Xiaoyu also did it because he wanted to eat food in the kitchen. If Jing Wang's eyes weren't injured last time, Xiaoyu definitely wouldn't have changed form to help him. Even when sending the letter to Xuěshān, it was only sent through Xiangfeng. Jing Wang, who suddenly discovered that, in the fish's eyes, he might not even compare to a piece of dessert or a bowl of food. Meanwhile this simple-minded, heartless fish still didn't realize that his real identity had been exposed. In order to hide from Jing Wang, he was currently doing his best to clean up. Through the bronze mirror, Jing Wang saw the fish reorganize the dessert he messed up. The fruit peels and paper crumbs were all crushed into pieces and scattered in unremarkable corners. No matter in fish form or in human form, the carpio was very smart and very vigilant. He never ate anything that was hard to clean up. Most of the time, he ate things that could be stuffed whole into his stomach. Xiaoyu clearly wanted to keep him in the dark. Right now the other still remained by his side. If he discovered that Jing Wang knew what was going on, perhaps he would run away. Just look at everything this fish was doing. Although there would always been some careless mistakes, if Jing Wang wasn't meticulous, he could have easily been tricked. Before, even Jing Wang was fooled and got frustrated. On the contrary now, he felt rather glad that Xiaoyu couldn't remember anything after waking up from his intoxication. If he remembered even a little bit, it was extremely likely that Jing Wang wouldn't even be able to find him now. After considering for a long time, Jing Wang decided to continue suppressing his desire to meet human Xiaoyu in person and maintain the current situation. He would bid his time. He and Xiaoyu needed an opportune moment. On this moment, he must ensure that Xiaoyu definitely won't leave, Jing Wang won't attempt anything recklessly otherwise and scare Xiaoyu away. In the stories that Xuěshān gave him, it always mentioned that humans and Yao walk different paths. Jing Wang didn't like this concept at all. Not all humans were the same. He wasn't some weak and frail scholar. Xiaoyu was also the fish he's been raising this entire time. He wouldn't permit the two of them to break up and take different paths. However, he still knew very little regarding spirits and carpio in particular. Jing Wang ordered his men to specially look for books on spirits, Yao, and cultivation. He wanted to know even more information related to carp yao. For example, the system that Xiaoyu mentioned while he was drunk. He still didn't know what exactly the system was. Also, about heavenly tribulations. Jing Wang still didn't know if this carp yao needed to pass the heavenly tribulations or not. Just reading the random stories that Yeching Huan gave him was not enough. Soon enough, his men found some ancient texts that they claimed would be very useful to Jing Wang, so Jing Wang decided to read them right away. He had been very busy for the past few days. He would leave early and won't came back until late. When he came back, he would bury himself in books. His fish pet, who had not seen him for a long time, was dissatisfied with this. Liu swam around back and forth inside the crystal fish tank, holding back mischief in his mind. Who knew what Jing Wang was reading this time? If they were romance novels, he also wanted to read them. The master's good stuff should be shared. How can this pampered fish pet be left out? After Liu's fish body became bigger, the teacups that were put inside the room for him to jump over with had been replaced with bigger sizes as well. Whenever he jumped in, it would always cause a splash. He had just jumped from the fish tank and Jing Wang immediately noticed him. Watching the carp demon carry a trail of water, jumping over in high spirits, Jing Wang knew that Xiaoyu was curious here. Secretly smiling, Jing Wang straightened the book and pretended to be concentrating. Liu quickly jumped onto the table. The flower-shaped teacup that he often stayed in also changed now. It changed into a lotus flower-shaped cup that was more than double the size of the previous teacup. This lotus cup was something that Jing Wang ordered artisans to carve from red jade. Under the sunlight, it was vibrant with colors, looking very splendid. When the little carp stayed inside the lotus cup, it was like he was sitting on a red lotus. Ever since Jing Wang discovered that this fish seemed to have a strange obsession with green leaves, he even asked the artisans to embed a layer of jasper-made lotus leaves at the bottom of the cup that was extremely realistic. The little carp instantly loved it. Because this wasn't the first time they read books together, Liu didn't feel awkward at all. Swimming to the edge of the cup, he did his best to extend his fish head to look at the book that Jing Wang was currently flipping through. This book looked extremely old. Several pages were falling out. Liu assumed that this book was even older than Jing Wang. Who knows what kind of 1,000-years-old Yao story this was about. Jing Wang also became aware of the carp demons peeking. He ended up picking up the cup and fish together and deliberately placed it in front of him, facing the book. Like this, the fish could read easily. And if the fish changed forms in this position, he'd be encircled directly in Jing Wang's arms. Jing Wang felt an uncontrollable anticipation. With a secret delight, he started to read together with the fish once again. Seeing Jing Wang's straightforward attitude this time, Liu was also very happy. He thought he could finally gain a glimpse of the 18 ancient forbidden books. However, after trying to read for a long time, Liu couldn't read even a single line of words without strain. It was too hard to make out the characters. The little carp became flustered and exasperated. I got tricked. This wasn't a novel. This wasn't even a military book or travel notes. This was actually a book about cultivation. Didn't the system said the protagonist's halo of becoming an emperor wouldn't be affected? Did Jing Wang still plan to become the emperor? Why was Jing Wang reading cultivation books? Did Jing Wang plan to give up on becoming an emperor? Did the protagonist of a Grand Palace Court novel plan to do cultivation instead? Wasn't this difficulty level a bit too much? If you must know, Liu never read cultivation novels. Somewhat anxious, Liu secretly glanced at Jing Wang. He was afraid that Jing Wang would really change his ambition and become a cultivator instead. Jing Wang's expression was focused, looking extremely serious, not like Liu who couldn't even understand one sentence. Although Jing Wang was mute, he was quite talented. He could even quickly read ancient cultivation books and comprehend them. If he kept on reading this prince might directly ascend to the heavens as an immortal. Liu secretly splashed some water on the book. He needed to dispel Jing Wang's intentions to cultivate as soon as possible. Cultivation was too hard, it's tiring and you can't eat anything good. If things went wrong, he might even die. Tyrant Master, you better not aspire to be a cultivator, please. The ancient text that was bought with a lot of gold was splashed with water. Jing Wang gave an exasperated glance at the irate fish. Did this fish become Yao so long ago that it was unwilling to read books that were too simple? Therefore, Jing Wang switched to a more profound book. Liu was just about to wag his tail proudly for successfully defeating Jing Wang's notion to cultivate when he discovered Jing Wang swiftly changing the book. This time, he saw the book was a handbook for alchemy. Liu, alchemy pills aren't something to be eaten randomly. Books are also not something to be read randomly. Ah! Liu flailed, practically getting Jing Wang's ancient text completely wet. With a blackened face, Jing Wang pulled out the last one. Liu looked, a booklet for dual cultivation. Dual cultivation? Liu opened his eyes wide. This was too much of a test for him. Even though he never read cultivation novels, he still knew the meaning of dual cultivation. The edges and corners of this book were in terrible shape, obviously from frequent use. This must be an extremely profound text. But dual cultivation? The little carp deliberated for a while, then ended up moving his fish head closer. Oh! There was something like this? Fish also want to see. Jing Wang's expression changed subtly, so Xiao Yu really did want to dual cultivate with him. But, why wasn't he doing it yet? Your Highness. Wang Shi called lightly outside the room. The little carp made the book scroll into a dripping wet scroll. Jing Wang stopped struggling with the fish for the book and lightly rang the jade bell. When Wang Shi pushed the door and entered, the little carp already slid back into the lotus cup. Wang Shi didn't see anything. Wang Shi said with a solemn expression, Your Highness, Zongqi Palace caught fire yesterday night. Concubine Qiu was injured by the fire. End chapter. The disabled tyrant's beloved pet fish. Transmigration. Chapter 37. Concubine Qiu. For a moment, Liu couldn't recall who that was. The original novel didn't actually mention many of the emperor's concubines. He only had an impression of a few of them. Liu couldn't remember her, but Jing Wang knew who very well. Concubine Qiu was the imperial consort who was demoted not too long ago. Now that the second prince, Marquis of An, no longer had the chance of succeeding the throne, concubine Qiu was not sent to the cold palace, but she was demoted instead. This was the last grace that the emperor was willing to bestow to the Marquis of An. However, it looked like concubine Qiu was unwilling to give up. It's been a long time since there was a fire inside the imperial palace. It was also not the season for fire at this time. For her to be injured because Zongqi Palace caught on fire was probably because of some ulterior motives. Jing Wang discovered the fish's bewilderment and tapped 3 times on the table with a certain cadence. Wang Shi was startled for a moment. This meant that he was supposed to explain thoroughly and with details. His Highness rarely requested this after growing up. Normally, Wang Shi only needed to mention a sentence or two for His Highness to understand. Why was he doing this today? Although he was bewildered, Wang Shi still stated dutifully, concubine Qiu is the second prince's birth mother and was formerly an imperial consort. Zongqi Palace was her designated quarters. Yesterday night, Zongqi Palace caught fire, which was discovered by the servant on night duty. Concubine Qiu suffered burn injury due to this. Fortunately, although the fire burned down most of Zongqi Palace, it didn't spread anywhere else. The emperor is fine. The other palaces are also unharmed. So, concubine Qiu was the former imperial consort? Liu's eyes shone brightly. Lately he had just been eating his fill and fattening up that he almost forgot about the imperial consort. With Wang Gonggong's explanation, he now understood that concubine Qiu's residence caught on fire and concubine Qiu got injured as a result. However, the imperial palace was heavily guarded. Why was there suddenly a fire? Li Yu recalled a plot that happened in the original novel. In the novel, concubine Qiu was not disliked this early by the emperor. Instead, she became a cannon fodder during the struggle between the second and third prince. After losing power and influence, in order to help the second prince regain the favor of the emperor, concubine Qiu intentionally let herself get burned in order to gain the emperor's pity. Unfortunately, this scheme was exposed by the third prince and his followers. As a result, concubine Qiu and the second prince completely lost the emperor's favor. Presently the Chang'an palace was well protected. Both concubine Qiu and the second prince were sent to confinement in their respective residences by the emperor. The emperor pretty much stripped the second prince of any likelihood to succeed the throne. Was concubine Qiu still unwilling to give up and wanted to use the scheme of injuring herself to gain the emperor's pity? This wasn't completely impossible. However, in the novel, only a certain room in the imperial palace was burned. The fire was very quickly extinguished. This was different from what Wang Shi reported that most of Zongqi Palace was burned. Can this be because the previous plot has been changed beyond recognition that concubine Qiu have become even more deranged? Jing Wang pondered for a moment and picked up the paper and brush on the table to ask Wang Shi, where is concubine Qiu injured? How are the other people who lived inside Zongqi Palace? What caused the fire? Wang Shi hit his forehead at once and said apologetically, apologies for not explaining clearly just now. Concubine Qiu was injured on the arm. Those responsible for putting out the fire received some injuries, but other than that, all of the servants in Zongqi Palace were pretty much fine. As for the reason for the fire, His Majesty had already ordered an investigation. At the moment, there's no result yet. However, a rumor is circulating all over the palace that someone inside the servants' quarters of Zongqi Palace accidentally knocked over an oil lamp, which spread to the bed curtains and caused the fire. Jing Wang scoffed. The servants' quarters were normally very far from the master's room. How could she get injured like this? Also, even though concubine Qiu fell in rank and no longer had her previous status and position, she was still in a master position as a palace concubine. If the head of Zongqi Palace was injured, why were the other servants inside the palace still unharmed? What kind of logic was this? Wang Shi said in agreement, this old servant thinks this matter can't be simple. All of those servants were fine, but they couldn't even protect their master. Logically, this shouldn't be possible. Could it be that it's Imperial Khan? Poo, this old servant spoke wrongly, it should be concubine Qiu. Could it be that it was concubine Qiu who injured herself? Li Yu hastily flopped a few times. Wang Gong makes sense. He also agreed with this thought. At first, Li Yu wasn't too sure if concubine Qiu was purposely causing trouble, but Wang Shi really brought up a good argument. Also, according to Wang Gong's words, the fire should have been very big. So why even after it burned, concubine Qiu only got injured on the arm? The more Li Yu thought about it, the more suspicious it seemed. Wang Gong continued, this thing originally has nothing to do with us. However, since there was a fire incident inside the imperial palace, Your Highness should visit His Majesty and check on his well-being. This old servant received news that the third prince and the sixth prince have already entered the palace. The second Marquis of An have also sent a letter of well wishes. Jing Wang understood his meaning and nodded. Wang Shi said, this servant will go make the arrangements right now. About Master Xiao Yu. Wang Shi glanced at the little carp, not knowing what Jing Wang planned to do. Li Yu also wanted to go out. He's been shut indoors inside the estate for a long time. Lately, he hasn't even caused trouble and has been very well behaved. Jing Wang saw the carp Yao raised its tail way high, almost creating a gust of wind. He looked at Wang Shi with a smile, the same as before. The same as before meant bringing the fish along. Wang Shi hurriedly went to grab the crystal bottle. The crystal bottle was currently made into the size of a birdcage. It was still carried by wrapping a chain around the hand to prevent it from sliding off and falling down. Jing Wang placed the fish inside the crystal bottle himself. Afraid that the fish would get hungry, he gave the fish plenty of snacks. If it weren't for Wang Shi's quiet persuasion, Jing Wang might have stuffed the crystal bottle full. Wang Gong sighed. Now that Master Xiaoyu has doubled in size, why did it feel like His Highness's pampering towards Master Xiaoyu has also doubled in intensity? Ganking Palace. All of the concubines and princes were present. The emperor already ordered an imperial physician to examine concubine Xiu. The imperial physician returned to report her prognosis, stating that concubine Xiu's arm wasn't very well and had been burned badly in the fire. In the future, it was unlikely to recover. The emperor was stunned. He originally felt extremely disappointed towards concubine Xiu. The imperial physician's statement made him remember the past when concubine Xiu first entered the imperial palace. She often wore dance outfits and entertained him to make him happy. At that time, concubine Xiu was only 16 years old. When she extended her arm, it was shining white like the moon. In the blink of an eye, so many years had passed. The emperor became aware of the passage of time and felt inevitable sorrows. After this, he received a memorial from Marquis Oven that was written in blood. Mu Tianzhao was apologizing for his mistakes, though he didn't dare ask for the emperor's forgiveness. However, since concubine Xiu was unwell, Mu Tianzhao was very concerned about her. He asked the emperor to allow him to fulfill his filial piety in front of her sickbed. Mu Tianzhao's attitude was sincere, displaying impressive respect and filial piety towards concubine Xiu. The emperor, who had originally hardened his heart towards Marquis Oven, now felt somewhat swayed. All of the concubines to the side knew how to discern one's thoughts from their body language and detected that the emperor was feeling distressed right now. Other than agreeing, no one dared to utter a word. The third prince couldn't watch and do nothing as the Marquis Oven attempted to regain his footing again. Several times he attempted to say something but was always persuaded to stop by the sixth prince's quiet urgings. At the moment, the emperor's heart were full of good things about concubine Xiu and Marquis Oven. If anyone dared to directly speak ill of them, it would only make the emperor unhappy. The third prince was extremely resentful. Was the Marquis Oven going to continue suppressing him even while in confinement? The sixth prince lightly pushed the third prince, wanting the third prince to calm down and stop distressing. Head steward Luo Ruisheng arrived to report that Jing Wang had arrived. Thus, the emperor put down the Marquis of N's memorial and ordered Jing Wang to enter the hall. Jing Wang liked to raise fish. This wasn't a surprise to the people in the imperial palace. Last time, when he entered the palace, he brought his fish as well. The emperor had a deep impression of Jing Wang's fish and even rewarded it specifically several times before. Remembering how Jing Wang was taking care of a fish, the emperor's mood showed signs of recovering. Jing Wang first performed his courtesy greeting. The massive crystal bottle was no longer able to be stuffed inside his sleeve, so he held it in his hands. The emperor immediately saw clearly at this time the larger-sized crystal bottle and also the larger-sized little carp inside the bottle. The emperor, Liu, was a very sensible fish. He specifically spun around twice to pay his respect to the emperor. Because of this, the emperor also caught a glimpse of the flash of gold on the carp's stomach and tail. He said in surprise, "Tianqi, your fish." The emperor was just like Yeshizi. With this quick glance, he thought Jing Wang was raising a different fish. Wang Shi had been following Jing Wang. Jing Wang gave a look at Wang Shi. Wang Shi immediately stepped forward and bowed, answering for Jing Wang, "Your Majesty, His Highness's fish changed scales and grew bigger." Fish can also change scales. The emperor never heard of this before. For a second, he became rather curious and stopped thinking about the pitiful concubine Xiu and the Marquis Oven. Immediately, he ordered Jing Wang to bring the fish closer so he could have a look. Jing Wang agreed. The emperor examined it closely and saw that this fish was really the original one, only now it had some scales that changed to gold. The emperor looked repeatedly at the gold scales on the fish's body for quite a while. Luo Ruishen, what do you think? The emperor looked at head steward Luo. Head steward Luo, who understood the emperor very well, said with a smile, this servant is uneducated. It's hard to say. I only feel that for a fish to grow gold scales, it's a pretty good sign. The emperor laughed heartily, I also feel the same. Who knows, this could be a sign that the nation is at peace and prosperous. Originally, the emperor wasn't in a good mood not only because of concubine Qiu and her son but also because, if the reason for the fire inside the imperial palace couldn't be found, it would be viewed as an ominous warning from the heavens by many. Then the emperor would have to take the blame himself. Now seeing a regular carp grow gold scales, the emperor felt like he could sigh a breath of relief. If there was this auspicious sign, who would dare to criticize him? When Li Yu heard this, he was all dumbstruck. Wasn't it just growing some new scales on his stomach? How could the emperor explain this away as a sign that the nation was at peace and prosperous? The emperor was really the best at making up nonsense. With Jing Wang's arrival, the emperor immediately recalled the stupid things that the Marquis of An did before. Just now, his heart did soften for a moment because of concubine Qiu's injury. But if he recalled the Marquis of An's punishment over this, then he would be a really foolish ruler. In the future, when he passed away and went down to see Empress Xiaohui, how was he supposed to explain this to her? It's true that concubine Qiu had accompanied him for many years, but didn't Empress Xiaohui also sacrifice her life for him and their children? How to deal with concubine Qiu actually didn't need to be anything too complicated. Since concubine Qiu was injured, her family may enter the imperial palace to visit her. However, this didn't mean that the Marquis of An's mistake can be written off with one stroke. If the Marquis of An wanted to show filial piety, he didn't actually need to come serve her personally inside the imperial palace. He can fast and pray to Buddha on her behalf inside his estate and let his wife and children come over to look after her. There were plenty of ways for him to show his filial piety if he was truly sincere. Moreover, concubine Qiu has only injured an arm, yet the Marquis of An was making it seem like concubine Qiu was close to death by randomly writing a letter in blood just because he was afraid concubine Qiu couldn't endure it. The emperor extricated himself from his pity towards concubine Qiu. Looking back at the Marquis of An's letter, he felt like the other might have intended to seize this opportunity here to shed his crimes. The request that he originally planned to permit was now set to the side. An imperial guard entered the palace to report the investigation related to the fire. They stated that the fire burned the worst in a servant's quarter inside Zongqi Palace, therefore, they deduced that this was the point of origin of the fire. This room originally belonged to concubine Qiu's personal maid, Huanhua. However, after the fire was extinguished, Huanhua disappeared. No one had seen Huanhua since then. At the moment, the imperial guards still haven't found her. From this, the emperor can sense an irregularity. Even if this servant caused the fire, she shouldn't be so hidden that even the imperial guards couldn't find her. After all, dead or alive, there should be a body. The emperor asked clearly about the location of Huanhua's room. After learning that it was very far from the courtyard that concubine Qiu lived in, the emperor's face immediately fell. The opportune time that the third prince had been waiting for finally came. He looked at his birth mother, concubine Jian, as a signal. Concubine Jian covered her mouth with her handkerchief and said with a smile, concubine Qiu must really be very unlucky. With such a distance, others didn't even get injured yet she ended up suffering. The emperor gave concubine Jian a glare. Concubine Jian took the risk to speak out of turn. She secretly returned a look to the third prince and indignantly covered her mouth. Although the emperor was angry, he knew that what concubine Jian said was the truth, otherwise his face wouldn't have gone cold. Even his other concubines can tell that there was something suspicious about concubine Qiu's injury. That this was not just her suffering burn despite being far from the origin of the fire, but rather, she knew that injuring her arm would make him feel distressed for her. The emperor felt himself to be wise, yet now, he was almost played by a woman. Now that Zongqi Palace had mostly burned down, concubine Qiu was moved to the nearby Yuxia Palace. The emperor decided to visit Yuxia Palace and ordered everyone to accompany him. Concubine Qiu laid on the bed facing the ceiling, moaning in pain non-stop. Someone reported that the emperor had arrived. Delighted, concubine Qiu threw on clothes and allowed a loyal servant to help her out of the bed to pay respect to the emperor. The emperor was already somewhat suspicious of concubine Qiu. Entering her bedroom directly, he carefully examined concubine Qiu. Seeing that concubine Qiu was still in exquisite makeup despite her illness, with hair brushed and worn in a bun, the same appearance as when she danced for him back in the old days. This was clearly well planned ahead of time. She was waiting for him to come comfort her. The emperor's heart felt cold. He ordered the imperial physician to examine Imperial Qiu's injury right in front of him. Imperial Qiu was still a palace concubine. Although the crowd came with the emperor, they couldn't enter the room at the moment and were all waiting for the emperor to come out. Jing Wang was afraid of smothering Xiao Yu and opened the cover of the bottle. Xiao Yu immediately swam to the opening of the crystal bottle. Li Yu observed for a while just now and felt that although the situation had many changes, such as the small fire became a big fire, Jing Wang brought a fish into the imperial palace, and for some reason the third prince and the sixth prince had not yet exposed concubine Qiu. All in all, concubine Qiu's scheme here was still the same as in the original novel. She should be using the trick of harming herself to gain the emperor's pity. Therefore, examining her injury wasn't enough. Concubine Qiu's arm really did have an injury, so an examination won't prove anything. He had a gold finger and knew the answer to this dilemma. But how could he let Jing Wang know the answer in such a short time? From Jing Wang's perspective, although Jing Wang outwardly showed disdain towards Yeshizi, he considered the other to be family in his heart. He definitely wouldn't want the Marquis of An to regroup and make a comeback. If the Marquis of An couldn't be completely beaten to the ground, he'd be detrimental to Chang'an Palace and to Jing Wang after his return. Li Yu leaned on the rather narrow opening of the bottle, doing his best to think of a plan, and was fully concentrated. For a moment, he completely forgot that he got larger. With a splash, the crystal bottle flipped under the pressure of his weight. Jing Wang. Jing Wang scooped up the little carp. Wang Shi stated to the people in the vicinity without any changes in his expression, "Apologies. His Highness needs to change clothes again." End chapter. The disabled tyrant's beloved pet fish. Transmigration. Chapter 38. Jing Wang carried the fish and walked into the waiting room by the side hall. Ever since Jing Wang started raising fish, Wang Shi have started carrying with him some spare clothes for Jing Wang at all times. At the moment, he took them out and was about to follow his master inside. However, Jing Wang only accepted the garments from his hands and ordered Wang Shi to stand guard outside to prevent anyone from coming nearby. Wang Shi? The crystal bottle from Jing Estate wasn't actually the only one. There were several similar ones prepared just in case. Jing Wang quickly placed the little carp into another water-filled crystal bottle and looked around. Fortunately, there was only him and Xiao Yu inside the waiting room in the side hall. No one would disturb them. He remembered that when he brought the fish to meet the emperor for the first time, the fish splashed water all over him, so he had no choice but to change clothes. As a result, he saw concubine Qiu and her son all messed up when he came out. At that time, he thought it was a coincidence. After discovering Xiao Yu was a carp Yao, he recalled the incident from that time and felt that it was extremely likely that Xiao Yu purposely sent him away to give concubine Qiu and her son a little punishment. Now Xiao Yu got his clothes wet again. Was it because he wanted to let Jing Wang know something? But how was he supposed to communicate with a fish? Privately, Jing Wang still hoped that the Carpio could change form and tell him in person. He waited for a while. "Xiao Yu didn't transform." Jing Wang felt like maybe he misunderstood. Maybe Xiao Yu didn't actually have anything to say to him. Jing Wang still hasn't changed out of his wet clothes after coming into the waiting room. He decided to change his clothes first. The little carp has been spinning in circles anxiously inside the crystal bottle this whole time. He knew that Jing Wang had been looking at him non-stop. It's not that he didn't want to say anything, but rather the answer was too complicated. It was really hard to express it as a fish. Knocking over the crystal bottle was only an accident. Fish didn't even prepare anything yet. Liu continued to think hard, splashing the water agitatedly with his fish fins. He suddenly saw Jing Wang turning around, back facing him. Liu's attention was immediately drawn there. Oh, what was the Tyrant master about to do? Swift and nimble, the little carp immediately plastered himself against the wall of the crystal bottle. The bottom of Jing Wang's clothes where the crystal bottle fell on was completely wet. He was currently changing clothes. Because Jing Wang treated Xiao Yu as a person, he instinctively turned around to undo his buttons. Although he was changing clothes, he still paid attention to his fish from the corner of his eyes. With one look, he saw that the originally swimming fish suddenly came into a halt. Jing Wang immediately turned back around. The little carp was plastered against the wall of the crystal bottle, black round fish eyes meeting his head on. Jing Wang. Liu. The extremely experienced Liu hastily swam to the other side of the crystal bottle, pointing his tail at Jing Wang and pretending he was only passing by. Was this fish looking? Jing Wang suddenly realized something and gave a wicked smile towards the restlessly waving fish tail. So what if he looked? It's not like Jing Wang had anything to hide. Jing Wang walked forward and forcibly tugged on the fish's tail, turning the fish around and making the evasive little carp face him. Then, the fish watched in surprise as his tyrant master changed clothes right in front of him without any signs of embarrassment. The little carp, who received quite a shock, "Oi! Don't be like this. This fish's eyes are going blind." Though he was reluctant in the surface, Liu continued to watch reluctantly. The little carp silently counted his master's abs. Liu might have been stimulated by the scene of Jing Wang changing his clothes on the spot because he quickly thought of a solution from his dilemma, though it wasn't actually the solution. This incident happened so suddenly that there was no chance for him to prepare a secret letter. Jing Wang was in front of him, so naturally, the easiest solution is for him to transform into human and expose the scheme of concubine Chu and the Marquis of An. But how was he supposed to change right in front of Jing Wang? Liu was just contemplating how to do it when Jing Wang suddenly walked over and lightly touched the fish on the head. Liu. The head touching almost seemed like some kind of secret signal. After he finished, Jing Wang left Liu behind and stepped out of the waiting room. Liu. Immediately after, Wang Shi said loudly outside, "Your Highness wants tea? Please wait momentarily. This old servant will go fetch it right now." Jing Wang went out to drink tea. Liu looked around inside the waiting room. There was already tea prepared on the table. However, this was inside the imperial palace. Jing Wang usually wouldn't just casually drink tea outside. Therefore, whenever he wanted tea, he would go find Wang Shi. Liu knew Jing Wang usually drank tea, but this wasn't the main point. The main point was that Jing Wang walked out. Didn't this mean he could change form now? This was an opportune chance, but he had to consider it carefully. The first issue after changing form was what to wear. There just happened to be some servants' clothes hanging inside the waiting room. They were about the same size as him, too. Perhaps servants normally changed clothes here as well. Anyways, he could borrow them for a while. The second issue was that changing form inside the imperial palace had too many unpredictable variables. He was someone who had no identity token, so he needed to be constantly careful. After changing, he needed to find Jing Wang as soon as possible and say whatever he needed to say. How to obtain Jing Wang's trust in such a short time was another problem. However, he was pretty confident in this. After Liu finished reporting what he knew, Jing Wang would definitely expose concubine Qiu himself. Liu can just guard the crystal bottle and hide. As long as he didn't randomly run around inside the imperial palace, he could change back to a fish after hiding successfully for 2 hours. Inside the Jing estate, when he changed forms to eat something, he felt the time was too short. Now he felt the duration was too long. Being incapable of cancelling the transformation at will made him gloomy. Hiding inside the imperial palace was really not safe at all. Nevertheless, there were no other way for him to communicate with Jing Wang. After a few days, it may even be impossible to find evidence for this self-injury scheme of concubine Qiu. If the emperor didn't receive hard evidence promptly, then had a change of heart and started trusting concubine Qiu again, what then? Occasionally, Liu must change forms courageously for serious business. Liu pretty much decided and pressed on the skill. After he changed form, he first touched his stomach. Crushing and knocking over the crystal bottle was really very humiliating. He needed to first make certain that only his fish body doubled in size, his human shape didn't actually get fatter. After doing this, he finally could pick out a fitting servant's outfit to wear with peace of mind. Done changing, he gently pushed open the door to the waiting room. Jing Wang was standing directly outside, guarding the waiting room himself as he waited for Wang Gonggong's tea. Your Highness. Liu jumped in surprise. Good thing he didn't make too much noise inside. However, why didn't Jing Wang sit next to the table while he waited? Jing Wang looked at the servant before him with a smile. Liu very quickly remembered that he was wearing a servant's outfit. Since he was pretending to be a servant, normal servants usually gave their salutes when greeting royalty. But what kind of salute did they do? Did he need to do the Lan Huazhong gesture? Although he changed clothes, his face didn't change. Jing Wang should be able to recognize him, right? Your Highness, hello. Liu considered perhaps he might as well kowtow to get away with this. As a fish, he often saw people kowtowing to Jing Wang anyways. Liu was just about to kneel, but Jing Wang immediately helped him up as soon as his knees started to bend. When the strong hands grabbed his arms, Liu knew immediately that the other had recognized him. Strangely, Liu felt relieved. He quickly gathered his thoughts and said, Your Highness, I have something to tell you. Concubine Qiu's injury is real, but she wasn't injured by the big fire at Zongqi Palace. Her injured arm has the scent of cypress wood. That injury was done by a burning cypress tree branch. This cypress tree branch was the means that concubine Qiu used to burn her arm. It was also the evidence of guilt. It's obvious that this fire was part of concubine Qiu's plans. But how could concubine Qiu let herself get caught up in such a big fire? What if the fire accidentally burned her face or something unexpected occurred? Then the price wouldn't be worth it. In reality, when Zongqi Palace caught on fire, concubine Qiu and her trusted servant were already hiding far away from it. When the fire was pretty much extinguished, she clenched her teeth and added some burns to her arm before quietly returning. When the time came, she just had to insist that she was injured by this big fire. No one would suspect anything. Meanwhile, Huan Hua was the loyal servant that concubine Qiu placed in Zongqi Palace to start the fire. After starting the fire, she was to disappear. As long as concubine Qiu didn't say anything, no one would know. It was written like this in the original novel. Unfortunately, concubine Qiu made a few fatal mistakes. First was the branch that she used to burn herself. Unfortunately for her, she used the branch of a cypress tree. Cypress wood had a special smell. Concubine Qiu even used the kind of cypress wood which had a thick scent. This caused the smell of cypress wood to remain on her injury, not even dissipating after such a long time. The sixth prince was able to notice this. Concubine Qiu stated that she was injured by the big fire inside Zongqi Palace, but the thing was Zongqi Palace didn't have any cypress trees planted in it. And therefore, this proved that concubine Qiu didn't get injured inside Zongqi Palace but was instead injured somewhere that had cypress trees. In the novel, the sixth prince was somewhat knowledgeable and helped the third prince find this location. It was the Xuěshān Terrace, which was not far from Zongqi Palace. They even found some imperial guards that saw concubine Qiu at that place. They became eyewitnesses. The cypress branch that concubine Qiu carelessly left on the ground was also found. One end of the tree branch was already charred. The other side had a long handkerchief wrapped around it, making it easier to grab. On the handkerchief, concubine Qiu's favorite hatang flowers were sewn onto it. This also became evidence along with the cypress branch. Meanwhile, the crucial character, Xuanhua, was also found moments later. As it turned out, Xuanhua knew what happened and was afraid that concubine Qiu would kill her. Therefore, she ran away and hid inside the imperial garden, where she was discovered by the third prince's subordinates. The third prince tortured Xuanhua and made her tell the truth, exposing concubine Qiu. During this plot inside the original novel, concubine Qiu pretty much suffered a one-sided defeat. Yet now the third prince and sixth prince were both biding their time, not doing anything. Li Yu was afraid that concubine Qiu's scheme would prevail here. It wasn't possible for him to warn the third prince or the sixth prince. So he could only warn Jing Wang and let Jing Wang decide what to do. Li Yu did his best to mention the most important aspects, pointing out where Xuanhua was hiding and the secret behind concubine Qiu's injury. Jing Wang, afraid that he didn't believe it, Li Yu said hastily, "It's true. Please believe me, Your Highness. Although I can't explain how I know all of this, I can promise everything I told you was the truth. The secret letter that Xuěshān received was also written by me." The fastest method to obtain Jing Wang's trust that Li Yu came up with was to prove himself through something that had already happened: the letter that he once wrote to Xuěshān. This letter already helped Chang'an Palace escape a tragic catastrophe. Jing Wang definitely trusted this letter right now. Li Yu recited the content of the letter word for word. To both Jing Wang and Xuěshān, this letter was a secret. Other than a few faithful subordinates, only the letter writer would know its content. Since Jing Wang chose to believe in this letter, then he definitely would trust the letter sender as well. Li Yu finished his fervent speech. Jing Wang calmly nodded his head and expressed that he understood. However, he still held on to Li Yu's arm without any intent of letting go. Li Yu swallowed his saliva. No way. Why would Jing Wang have this kind of response? It was practically the same as the last time they met as well. Jing Wang pulled out the jade bell and shook it a few times. Before, when Wang Shi went to get tea, Jing Wang stuffed a note to him, wanting him to pretend to get tea and stay at a distance, not allowing him to come over and peek without permission. Receiving the order now, Wang Shi charged over hastily. Immediately, he saw his family's prince grabbing onto a young servant, refusing to let go. Wang Shi. This scene seemed like a déjà vu. Wang Shi felt his heart jump. He examined the servant again, and sure enough, he found that this servant looked very familiar. Wang Shi was shocked. Wasn't this that male concubine from some unknown family? Why would he appear inside the imperial palace again? Jing Wang gave Li Yu a glance. Li Yu understood his meaning and quickly repeated what he knew to Wang Shi. Wang Shi knew this was something serious and asked, "What do you plan to do, Your Highness?" Li Yu thought, His Highness will definitely deal with it himself. Unexpectedly, Jing Wang gave him an ambiguous look and raised his hand to give a 3. Wang Shi said with a smile, "This old servant understands. This old servant will secretly divulge the news to the third prince's people." The third prince was just frustrating over how the Marquis of An refuses to give up. "If we give him an opportunity, Your Highness won't even have to do anything." Li Yu. So this worked as well? Jing Wang sent an impatient glance at Wang Shi, expressing, "Hurry up and go." Wang Shi swiftly said his farewell and went to do his business. Li Yu was still being held by Jing Wang and was engaged in a staring contest with Jing Wang, big eyes against small eyes. Jing Wang pulled Li Yu to a table in the waiting room and forced Li Yu to sit down together with him. Then he pulled out a brush and paper from his clothes. Li Yu. Was Jing Wang specifically waiting for him here? Li Yu felt like things weren't going well here and said timidly, "Your Highness, I still have important things to do, I think." Jing Wang quickly wrote, "Answer the questions." Li Yu pursed his mouth and gave Jing Wang a furtive look, "If I answer, will you let me leave?" The words were already out of his mouth when Li Yu abruptly remembered that Wang Shi repeated not just once before that Jing Wang really disliked discussing conditions with others. Yet he actually dared to speak like this to Jing Wang. If Jing Wang got mad and threw him out, actually, that would not be bad. However, the bastard Jing Wang only raised his eyebrow, answered truthfully, "Then I'll let you go." Li Yu. No way. Not only did Jing Wang not get angry, he even agreed. Jing Wang continued to write, "What's your name? How old are you? Why did you come here?" In order to leave early, Li Yu couldn't refuse to answer again. If he put up a stubborn resistance here, he'd only be causing trouble for himself. With a bitter face, Li Yu said in a low voice, "My name is Li Yu. I'm 18 years old. Why I came here?" Li Yu thought about how system said it was to help the tyrant change his temperament. He definitely couldn't say this. As for why he'd transmigrate, Li Yu said, "I don't know either." He also didn't know why he would suddenly turn into a fish. End chapter.